Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by my lovely co host, Angel.
Hello.
We're back in Port Charles, finally.
Finally.
We are covering the fourth story arc, Tempted. We watched week 1 plus an episode. So I will roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So something I noticed, you know how they do the next on Port Charles or stay tuned for scenes from the next Port Charles?
They don't have the song.
They don't have a song. And
I mean, they have. I know what the
face,
song is, but
Allison's face is in the logo with the eyes.
well, it changes.
It does.
So I saw Allison. I think it was Jack, and I saw Lucy, and I think it was Caleb. There were a few faces in the Tempted logo.
Maybe I didn't like in the ones that we watched.
Yeah, the ones we watched. Yeah, there were a few
faces.
There was Allison. There was because like the one that you just showed in the credits is different than the Allison one.
Right. Maybe I didn't pay attention for all the episodes because the only different one I saw was Allison.
Yeah, because I saw Lucy because Lucy's one didn't have the Port Charles on top of it, and that's how I was like, wait, this looks different. I'm like, oh, it just says Tempted.
Okay. So we pick off where Tainted Love ended. Caleb has been destroyed, as they like to say. They don't say dead; they say destroyed.
Destroyed.
Eve is in labor. Livy's on the roof with Jack, still kind of rattled by what happened, I guess. She's kind of looking off into the distance and she hears Caleb's voice in her head, and she opens up her hand and it's his ring, which is how Tainted Love ended.
Yeah.
What's going on? So I guess we could say the kids, the teens, the 20-somethings all go back to Jamal and Allison's apartment, and they're having dinner together, and they're just kind of like chilling. And
in Case of the X plays, and you can hear the word by Maya, and you can hear the word shit twice.
I thought, okay, yes, I wasn't sure.
I had to look up the lyrics. I was like, wait, I remember on MTV they did to cover up the word shit, but they played shit twice.
Maybe they thought it was muffled enough that you wouldn't be able to hear it. I thought I heard it.
But I know I can hear it. I could hear it. They played shit on network TV.
Yeah. So clearly we saw the ABC version. We didn't see
the I mean, of course they got away with it. It was directed by Albert Alarr. So.
Right. So that, and then that made me think of Passions, that she performed on Passions. My Love Is Like Wow, like a few years later. I actually caught that one live. Came home from school. I was like, what's Maya doing on Passions? But anyway, back to Port Charles. We already left. We gotta go back.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eve is in labor. Everybody's freaking out because she's a little bit early.
Yeah. Because I had a question about that. I was like, well, Eve was giving birth next arc. Wasn't she like pregnant? She wasn't pregnant for that long, and then they said it's preemie, so.
Right, because she just found out she was pregnant at the end of Time in a Bottle. So in our time, it's only like a little over 3 months.
Yeah.
But who knows in their time?
Yeah, who knows in their time? It's either really fast or really slow.
You just gotta go with it.
Go with it.
And Jamal made a funny comment. He was just like, I think he said I was 6 weeks early, and look at me now. And Allison's just like, yeah, look at him. So while Eve is giving birth, they realize that Eve and Ian realize that they're not legally married because Michael was not a real priest. So now they're like, well, Ian more so is like adamant that they have to be married. And Eve's like, I'm kind of in the middle of something else right now.
I'm in the middle of something.
So Lucy and Kevin are now tasked with trying to find a priest, a pastor, a reverend, anybody to like marry them. A justice of the peace, anybody.
Justice of the peace, a judge. A judge. Lucy herself in present day can marry them. Because I thought that's where we were going with that.
And at some point, Eve is like so far along in the birthing process that she's like, I want drugs, but now it's too late for her to get drugs, and she just has to push. But Lucy and Kevin find somebody, and he's in a wheelchair. He must have been in the hospital, so they wheel him in. Yeah. He says the ceremony, and I thought it was ridiculous that he's like, you guys prepared your own vows. I'm like, Eve is not going to be able to say wedding vows right now.
No. Nah.
So Ian says his little thing, and then Eve's just like, I do.
Julie Pinson does a really good job, like, combining like the seriousness of giving birth with some comedic moments. She has good comedic timing.
Yeah,
especially after the part with the Daniel poem. She was like, oh, that's sweet.
So she gives birth. Clearly this wasn't a real newborn, because my first thought was like, wow, that's a big baby.
It's a 6-month-old baby.
That's a big preemie. But I did think it was realistic looking, the way that the goo and stuff that they put on the baby. I'm like, oh, that was good for them. But apparently I did notice this too, because I thought the baby's not crying.
Yeah, baby's not crying.
So Eve starts to freak out because she's a doctor, so she knows things. And they say they have to run tests, and now she's freaking out. She's like, I know what that means. And she starts to remember a time. Apparently this has happened to her before. She gave birth, and the baby was crying and it died. Did that happen on the show? Was
I don't know. I forgot if it happened on the show or if it happened pre-Port Charles.
Oh, because my next question was going to be like, who was the father?
Yeah, I know it was mentioned. I know that Julie's father is the father of Eve's stillborn. I think like either stillborn or baby that died.
Okay.
She didn't miscarry. In fact, she specifically mentioned that she gave birth.
Yeah.
But her baby wound up being stillborn. Julie's father was the father, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And yeah.
So pre-Arcs, Eve was having an affair with Julie's father?
Pre-show. So pre-show. So this was Eve's backstory when she was a sex worker. So.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because remember in Fate they brought it up like how Eve was a prostitute and everything like that.
Yeah, I knew that. I think I knew that from the pilot when they all had their files on them or whatever.
With the files, yep. Yeah. With Cooper.
Yeah, that crystal.
That crystal. I think it was Julie's that he stole.
Oh, it was just Julie's? I thought it was everybody's.
I remember it was one. He specifically wanted one file. Because like everybody else's was brought up, but Julie's wasn't. I think so.
Because he was a little bit obsessed with Julie, right? Like he was with Livy. He's obsessive.
Yeah. Until he gets to Miracles Happens.
So yeah, so Case of the X played. So I was like, yay. And then Allison and Jack go to get the espresso machine in the shop. And she makes a joke about how like it's heavy, and he's like, oh, we'll get the dolly. And I guess she jokes around about his super strength. He didn't appreciate that. So he's like, I'm not a vampire anymore. I don't have that.
We get flashbacks to Tainted Love when he was throwing people around, and
a few of them I was like, oh, I forgot that happened. I was like, that did happen.
Yeah. It's like, oh hey, look, oh hey, Chris is on this episode.
They never do end up getting that espresso machine, because the next time we see Libby,
because she said, hey, let's he was like, hey, let's forget about that. Let's just separate. I want to spend some time with Livy, and that's where that's where the next scene happens.
Okay, so Livy's like setting up a sexy situation in the bedroom. She's got candles lit, she's in sexy lingerie.
Mandy Moore's playing.
Okay, it was Mandy, right? Because I didn't know
Mandy
Moore, but I'm like, this voice sounds familiar. I was like, is it Mandy?
It was Lock Me in Your Heart by Mandy Moore.
Okay.
That was another So Real album.
The remix album or the original?
No, the original, the one with where she's wearing all white.
Okay. I didn't buy that album. I bought the re-release that had the remix of Candy on it.
I don't know why she did that. It would have been better as an EP. I have thoughts about I've always had thoughts about Mandy Moore releasing a special edition album right after her first album. I wish it was an EP. But I don't think EPs were popular back then like they are now. So
I think it was more the record label. Maybe it wasn't selling
That's
as
what
well
I'm
as they
thinking.
wanted, so they needed to like sex it up a little bit, and I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was Mandy. So, but anyway, back to Portals. um, oh, we have to mention. I know we're all over the place right now. When Livy was on the roof, she threw the ring off the roof.
Threw the ring off the roof. Yep.
But now back to the sexy situation. She sees the ring on the pillow, and she's like, "I threw this off. How did this get here?" She like has these weird like shaky like blurry moments. Also, I don't know if it was here or on the roof, but at some point she's just like, I felt like I heard her say, "Where's that music coming from?" So I'm like, the music that they're playing, like that eerie music box. So I was like, she's hearing the
Yeah.
music you're hearing.
It's that ding 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 ding
Yeah.
ding, ding that
one. So Jack comes home and she hides the ring in the drawer, and he could tell that she's upset. And she tells him about the ring, but when she opens the drawer, it's gone.
It's gone.
So she's all like, "I'm not crazy. Like, I threw the ring off the roof and it was here." She's like, "It was right here." So she's like, emotional and a mess. They end up making love, and the song that played,
it's NSYNC.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is a boy band, and like I know this beat, and the minute it started, I knew all the words, and I'm like, this is from the Celebrity album. I love that album.
Celebrity, yes.
And I'm like 2001. I'm like, that tracks.
What is? Oh my god, what is with Port Charles and this like collection of music from when we were young? I love Port Charles. That's why I love this show.
Also, that was like two episodes in a row that had like real music. I'm like, wow, they definitely had a budget. They were paying for music every day. I was kind of bummed when the rest of the week we got to open episodes. I was like, I want to hear more music.
More music, please.
But he did change the radio station, and Jessica Simpson started to play, and you posted this on Twitter. I actually just saw this. And she freaked out and she was like, "I hate that song. Turn it off."
But the song before it was Alicia Keys.
Fallen. Okay, I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, the song before that was when he turned to Jessica Simpson's song. That was which was "I Want to Love You Forever." In case you didn't see the tweet, it was Alicia Keys' "Fallen," that her like first real big hit.
Okay. Oh right. I'm like, what was it? I'm like, I knew the song, but it didn't even like click that it was Alicia. So that makes me think back to Saints of Love. Remember there was a dancing scene? It may have been their wedding. It may have when he was just spinning her around. And I was like, this feels like there was a real song there, but they changed it. Do you think it was "I Want to Love You Forever"?
Maybe it was that.
And that's why she was like, I hate this song.
Yeah.
Because that's immediately what triggered in my head. I was like, that was probably playing when they were dancing.
Maybe I'll find it and re-put it in there.
You'll fix it.
I'll fix it.
Yeah, that would make sense actually. So Livy, everybody's like half the cast is kind of feeling the after effects and feeling like Caleb's still around in some way. Lucy has a dream that Livy was pregnant. Livy's hearing voices in her head and the ring.
Caleb's voice in her head.
Yeah. I'm gonna pause on Livy for a second because things kind of intertwine. So the baby's stillborn, or not stillborn.
No,
not
sure.
He's in the NICU, yeah. And we find out that he has sleep apnea, which I never heard with children. I
never heard that either.
But okay, we'll go with it. So Lucy and Kevin come to see the baby, and I like the little nice moment between Eve and Lucy. I was like, can we hug? Like, I just want you guys to hug right now.
Yes. They've been enemies since like the first year, so
I know, but I feel like we're in a good place. We're both moved on. We will have new significant others. You just had a baby.
They're in a really good place now.
Lucy even had a line. She was like, I know she's like, this is really weird because we're usually like battling broads.
Battling broads, I love that.
So going to the naming of the baby, I was for some reason that song Danny Boy stuck out in my head, and I was like, oh, I
Mhm.
was like, they're gonna go probably with the Irish or Scottish. I'm not really sure what it is, Irish or Scottish. Danny Boy thing. I was like, they're probably gonna name it Daniel, but it wasn't because of that. It was because of the poem.
Mhm.
But they ended up naming him Daniel. I was like, I called it. I was like, why don't you just call him Daniel Ariana Grania Thornhart?
Wait. The middle name is Grania. It's like Grania, but
Griffin for Grania.
Griffin for Grania. Yep.
Yeah, but that's why I was like, why don't you just throw Ariana in there?
Look at me, Ariana. What would it be in male Ariana? I don't know.
So yeah, my initial thought was like they're probably gonna name it Daniel. I was like, or Patrick after his twin brother. But he did mention Ryan, and Eve was like, no, Kevin has a twin named Ryan. So I like that little call out to GH. Did Ryan ever make an appearance on Port Charles?
No. Wait. I'm gonna say no, but there was also this arc called General Homicide, where like people got killed. But I'm wondering if like he came up in some way during that.
General Homicide was on Port Charles?
It was on Port Charles, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people were getting killed. It was mostly like extras and characters that didn't work out the first year.
Oh, was it the guy in the wheelchair?
No. He went up with Ellen.
Okay. I always wonder what happened to him because I never actually saw like his story arc. When I watched it, I'm like, I don't know.
It was like the doctor who he didn't really have much to do in the pilot episode, named Jake.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he had the storyline that was tangentially related to Lucy's storyline, Lucy and Scott's storyline.
Okay.
But he was like a side character, basically.
Okay.
And they tried to make him and Danielle a thing, and it wasn't working out.
Okay.
But anyway.
So Lucy and Kevin leave, and he could tell that she's a little bit upset, but she's trying to hide it. And he's just telling her how proud he is of her. She hides behind like a curtain, almost like what I have but in the hospital. And she's like, I'm fine. I don't know why you like talking down to me like I need like support. Like I'm fine. They end up in a closet, and he ends up like proposing to her in the closet.
Because that's how they are.
Yeah. They mention Transylvania and being locked up also. But this was all after the whole Livy might be pregnant with Caleb's baby fiasco.
Yeah.
So she had told Kevin about this dream, and then he like left, and Livy had come home and like heard her talking about it. Mm-hmm. So then Jack comes in and he's like, oh, you're pregnant? And then he realizes that it could be Caleb's.
Mm-hmm.
So
they both did.
Lucy's like, you need to take a pregnancy test. And I'm like, would a pregnancy test detect a mystical pregnancy? But she takes one, and it ends up being that she's not pregnant. Mm-hmm. So they dodge that bullet. But now Livy is getting a little insecure. She thinks maybe Jack is like can't get over the fact that her and Caleb slept together. Mm-hmm. Now that the pregnancy scare is gone. And I guess Jack thinks it might be a good idea if they got out of town and spent some time alone together.
Uh-huh.
While he's packing, he kind of gets a wave, like he's packing up the suitcase, and then it gets thrown across the room, almost like his super strength came back.
Yeah. Which I think it did.
Meanwhile, Livy goes back to the cave that had the bed and no plumbing. Looking for Caleb because she doesn't believe that he's gone. And we hear the music box music again. Mm-hmm. It was very I Know What You Did Last Summer, Jennifer Love Hewitt. Like, if you want me to come and get me, I'm right here. I'm not Olivia, I am Livy.
I am Livy. What are you waiting
for? And then we see a music box, and when she opens it, that damn ring is in there.
that ring, and then the wind starts blowing.
We saw a little bit of Gabby. I don't feel good about what we're doing with Gabby. Is this when she leaves?
No.
Oh, okay. It felt like they were like pushing her off.
No, she winds up going to a oh my gosh. So once upon a time I tried to be Catholic again. Didn't work out, but seminary, that's what they're called. She went to a seminary. She's going to a seminary just to go back to the path of, like, you know, just go back to the path of Jesus. It's Sunday, just kidding. Yeah, because I was like, oh yeah, she's going on a retreat. I've been on retreats before.
She goes to see Jamal and Allison, and well, mostly she goes to see Jamal, but Allison's there by default because she lives there, to tell him that she's going away to kind of like work out everything that happened and figure out who she is and atone for her sins and all that stuff. And Allison is just like not having it. And she's like, so you're gonna become a nun?
No.
And that's why I felt like I was like, oh, is this how she leaves? Does she like leave town to go find herself and then she just never comes back?
No, she doesn't come back, but I do know how she leaves. So yeah.
And then I started thinking about Ricky, and I'm like, wasn't she around when Ricky was around? But so yeah, so we had some nice brother sister scenes. He actually brings her to the seminary.
Before that, though, a little before that, Chris factors in.
Oh, right.
I found that funny because she was like, she was like, what did she say? She said, are you coming on to me?
Right. Because he was like, you were kind of sexy when you were all there.
She's like, you coming on to me? Like, what the fuck, Chris?
And prior to that, him and Kevin had a conversation about his research, and I think Kevin said it was like all destroyed.
Karen and Frank destroyed it.
Yeah.
Most of it, I say.
Right.
Because
but then he like goes into the refrigerator and he has like a vial of blood.
Finds a vial of blood.
Not all of it.
So not all destroyed.
Right. He's still pissed that he got bit and didn't become a vampire.
No.
Yeah, Chris. I do enjoy his scenes with Eve. I like their friendship, but anything outside of that, he just grosses me out.
Yeah,
he's very predatory. I don't like it.
he is like that. I think that's probably why Nolan North doesn't want to talk about poor Charles.
So what else happened?
Okay, so
so Kevin and Lucy do end up getting engaged. She says no at first because they're in a coat closet. Then he says some sweet things and she agrees, and then it turns out it wasn't locked. They weren't locked in. He just did that to kind of get her to come around.
And the janitor kept popping in.
Yes. I think Karen and Frank didn't even appear. Karen did,
yeah, went towards the beginning, like when Eve was giving birth, it was going into labor.
Yeah.
And she basically I think she called the OBGYN.
Okay, yeah. Livy leaves the cave and she goes for a walk in the park and she sees a snake. And she thinks maybe she's hallucinating. She's like, I've been to this park so many times. She's like, there's like birds and squirrels and other furry things. She's like, but not snakes. So she thinks she's like hallucinating it. And then the snake ends up biting her. And in the preview, I don't know if it's a poisonous snake, but she ends up passing out.
And then Garcia was appeared briefly in the park.
He did?
Right before the snake came up.
That's Garcia.
I think that was Garcia.
I thought he was another cop.
Or another cop. I thought it was Garcia, but I knew it was somebody connected with the PCPD.
Yeah, I think he's another cop. But I do think Garcia was recasted, but I don't think that was him.
Okay, so yeah, because he said something along the lines of, don't like what are you doing here? There's like a predator coming out, and she said that this is the predator fangs.
Right. He's like, excuse me, and she's like, never mind.
Never mind.
Oh, Eve had a nightmare before they named the baby that they named it Caleb. So that's her
But it was after they
supernatural.
named the baby.
Yeah. So that's like her supernatural like connection, I guess, to Caleb still. I think that was it.
Yeah, and then oh, I forgot there was something else. There was something tiny. I don't think it was really that important, but yeah, there was something tiny that was at the front of my mind, and it just went away. So
yeah, I'm trying to like quickly like scan the episodes in my brain. I think that was it.
yeah, I think that was it
For me anyway. All right. Anything else to add before we wrap it up?
So just so the viewers are aware, the episodes were from the 2nd to the 10th of September in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know if you're not aware of the events that happened. The show took like a week-long break because of 4-day break because of the coverage of 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and then we pick right up to I think the 17th, I think.
Yeah, which I went to look to see where we picked up, and I could have sworn it was 2 weeks. Maybe some of the soaps were 2 weeks. I feel like Days may have been 2 weeks. I was like, oh yeah, we only took 4 days off. I thought that was strange because I felt like it was just all over the news for.
It was all over the news.
Maybe it just felt that way because we were living it. But yeah, it was only 4 days, but that's why, because of September 11th.
Yeah, I looked at the first part of the episode and they didn't really recap anything, so the September 17th episode, yeah, they didn't really recap anything. It was just like, I mean, they probably recap no more than what they usually recap.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, so next time we pick up, it'll be September 17th, so we're not skipping episodes. It's just that's why there was a gap. But all right, well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Port Charles. We're really excited to get back into the arcs. We're going to get back to our regular every other week schedule. So we'll be, doing Guiding Light on the other off weeks. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.